Aggie Pride!
Aggie Pride!
How exciting it is for Jiho. Last year, I got a chance to experience this for the first time and see what all the noise, all the magnitude, and what the scale of this really means. And I know how exciting it is to welcome back tens of thousands of Aggies for homecoming. It'll be an exciting weekend, one filled with a lot of activities for the alums. For us, it's all about focusing on the next opponent. This past week couldn't have come at a better time for us, the bye week, given the nature of the number of guys that we've had beat up. To update you on what we spent this past week doing, we did a real deep dive self-scout on ourselves in all three phases of the game. What are we doing well? What aren't we doing well? And how do we fix it? And what's the nature of why we aren't able to do certain things well? And so we took a real hard look at what we're doing, who we're doing it with, and really kind of went back to the basics of how do we take the young men that we currently have available to play and put them in the best position to succeed on Saturday. In spite of all the changes in college football, there are no waiver wires, so we have who we have. And so it's our job to take the young men in our program, figure out our best way of putting them in position to succeed. Offensively, we know we have to score more points. Defensively, we know we have to stop giving up explosive plays. And so spent a great deal of time working on the fundamentals of what are the things that cause those explosive plays to happen defensively. And then again, offensively, finding ways to put our young men in position to succeed. We got our younger players significant reps at practice, trying to develop some depth. Young men that really haven't played much this season, some of whom played a little bit in our last game against the Spiders, trying to find a way to feature our best players offensively. And if you go back and watch our game against Richmond, we had a couple of explosive plays, something to be really excited and to build on. And then we spent time out on the road as a staff recruiting, looking for the next generation of Aggies to come in and help us get this thing going in the right direction. I think our young men have been phenomenal. There's been great energy at practice. No one is down. We're excited for the next opportunity to play. And we talk to our players all the time, like, you don't have to play, you don't have to practice. You get to play, you get to practice. It is truly a privilege to be able to play this game, and you need to relish every moment that you have, because there's one certainty as a player, and that your time will come to an end at one point someday. And so you better take advantage of every opportunity you have to fellowship, to teamwork, to bond with the guys that you're going to war with. Now, on to Hampton. They came off a very disappointing, heartbreaking loss against URI a couple of weekends ago. They have some really talented players. They got two quarterbacks that they play, Malcolm Mays and Chris Zellis, who's from right here in Greensboro. They have a very good running back in Elijah Burris, strong, hard to tackle. They do a very good job offensively of spreading the field, making you defend the entire field with their zone read game. Defensively, they got a couple of really challenging players inside. They got a big defensive tackle who's disruptive. They have an edge guy that can put pressure on the quarterback. When they get you into third and long, they have a pretty exotic pressure package in which they get after people. And so we know we're going to be in for a very exciting and challenging contest, but at the same time, we've shared with our guys, we have enough. We have enough with who we have. We have enough. We just have to eliminate the things that cause us to lose games. We got to put a complete game together in all three phases. Our last game out, people talked about, well, you guys are getting better, you got close, and that's true. But it's the mistakes that ultimately cost us that last game. And once we are able to minimize those mistakes, we'll win the game. Yeah, that's a top 25 team in the country, and we're right there. And, we did better in a number of areas, and I think our kids see that when we mitigate some of the challenges and not beat ourselves, we give ourselves a chance to be in the game. But at the end there, we turn the ball over, momentum changer there. Even though they didn't get points on that possession, it changes the momentum. And I think confidence is born of demonstrated ability. And so when you can demonstrate that you can go out and execute against one of the top 20, 25 teams in the country, that should breed confidence in your ability to go out the next week and improve. Our kids having a greater understanding of what we needed to do helped in the way we executed. But again, if you look at it, we lost the game, and the object is to win. And so, there are no moral victories. You just try to take the things that we did well, build on those, and find a way to mitigate the things that we didn't do well. And that's been our focus over the course of the bye week, fixing a lot of the things that we haven't been able to do well. And we have some new faces in some different roles. But again, I've said it throughout the course of the season, it's a next man up. Everybody's dealing with some sort of injuries or whatnot, so we just got to focus on the next man. Yeah, so the biggest issue has been misfitting runs from a schematic standpoint, and the things that we've worked on with our second-level players, with first and second level. First level players, making sure they understand where their gaps are and fighting like heck to stay in their gaps. At the second level, we've gone back and done a tremendous amount of drills to focus in on eyes and where your eyes should be relative to what the offense is doing and fitting your gaps. We've also taken a good look at ourselves from a coaching staff standpoint and looked at what we're calling that may be creating some of the problems. So I think we've gone in and tried to address, hey, here are the fundamental issues with the players up front. Here are the issues that we've created by the things that we've called that have allowed some of these explosive plays to happen. It's not about what we know as a coaching staff. It's about what the players know and what they can execute. And we have made a point of emphasis throughout the course of the season, especially defensively, because defensively, mistakes cause you to lose. And we'll literally, look, we won't call it if you don't know it. If you don't feel confident that you can go in and execute it, we won't call it. And sometimes it's just, we have to be able to take a deeper look and assess whether they know it or not through our reps and the mistakes that are made over the course of the week. And so we've taken a good look at that and really kind of reshuffled our thought process where, look, if they're not able to execute it by Thursday, don't call it. Don't call it, because we know it'll lead to an explosive play. Yeah, I mean, we build into our game plans, here's what we're going to call in these situations. If it's 4th and 3 and we got to have it, critical situation, what are you calling? Both sides of the ball. We practice all of those scenarios, whether you're backed up, you're in the red zone, you're on the goal line. That's what coaching is, and we felt good about the call. The execution wasn't there, but it was something that we'd repped, practiced, and like I said, we have to do a better job of having answers in those situations. Yeah, well, I think it's an exciting opportunity to go out and compete against a former MEAC rival. There's great fan support for both institutions. Last year we were at their place for their homecoming. This year they're here. There'll be a lot of excitement, and again, we're just focused on how do we win this football game. First and foremost, we have to score more points, and then defensively, we've got to stop giving up the big plays. If you look back at our last game, I think we're ahead 10-0, and then boom, big run, and they're right back in the game, and the momentum shifts there. So we have to stop giving up the explosive plays defensively and play a complete 60-minute game on both sides of the ball. Yeah, I mean, they haven't changed offensively at all from what they've done previously. They're running the same system. Defensively, they're a little bit more pressure on third down than what we saw last year, but there hasn't been a dramatic shift from what they've done previously. As a team, you have to be able to block all that stuff out and literally focus on the next play, what your assignment is on a down-to-down basis. And then at the end of the game, we say when we win, then you can go out and celebrate. Yeah, so they're both very talented kids. Zealous is a little bit better runner than Malcolm. Malcolm's a little bit better passer, but Malcolm is certainly a capable runner, and Chris is certainly a capable passer. So, what they're doing schematically doesn't really change. The ratio of quarterback runs might change when Chris is in there. He may keep the ball a little bit more than when Malcolm Mays is in, but we know they'll play both quarterbacks, and they have played both quarterbacks throughout the course of the season. So we just have to be focused on doing the things that we need to do fundamentally up front and on the back end to make sure we don't give up explosive plays. Yeah, I think Justin has adjusted to being in the starter role right now. He's shown more confidence, more poise. He's, throughout the course of the season, has done a very good job of leadership, even when Kevin was the starter. But now we see what his strengths are. And so making sure that we tailor, not redesign our offense, just tailor our offense to accentuate his strengths as a player. It's critically important. Every time you get a chance to go out and play conference opponents, you get a chance to put the things in place that we believe are critical to long-term success. And how you do anything is how you do everything. And so being focused on details, fundamentals, next man up mentality, finding a way to feature your best players and to minimize the weaknesses of maybe not your best players, but the kids that have to play anyway. And so, again, we're just excited to have the opportunity to play. I think it's huge, to be in what is arguably one of the 2 or 3 toughest conferences in FCS football. If you just look at the top 25 polls, you'll, on a week-to-week basis, see 3 to 4, sometimes 5 CAA teams in the top 25. And we usually end up playing those schools. And so to get a conference win is important. To get a win is more important. It doesn't matter who it is.